Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Tree Service Marketing Profits Podcast. I'm your host, Wesley Smith with treeservicedigital.com. And today we're going to talk to Sam Sadoff, CPA, specializing in the tree care niche. And he's going to share a story about a tree service business that went from zero to quite a bit of revenue. We'll share the details for the meeting here once we get started talking. But if you're on YouTube listening to this, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've got plenty more episodes, marketing content coming up real shortly. Friday, we've got a webinar actually coming up about local service ads and best practices. If you're on the podcast, like and subscribe to your favorite player there. We've got plenty of episodes coming there as well. So we'll get started today. Sam, how you doing, man? Thanks for joining today.
I'm well. Thank you. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Doing well. Can't complain, man. Can't complain. It's dog days of summer here in Georgia. We're in the 90s. Got some high humidity, normal stuff for us.
Yeah, it's the good part of the year.
Yeah, that's right. Travel, go to the pool, things like that, kids' activities. But yeah, no, I'm excited for our conversation today. I know that you've got some good stuff to share for the community, for the tree care kind of family niche. And we'll kind of kick it off by maybe like, what are you doing today? Like, what did you do to get started in the tree service business, or kind of helping the tree care niche, or specializing in it? And we'll kind of start from there.
Sure, absolutely. So, by way of introduction, so I'm a CPA, which means accountant, not arborist, right? So, spent the beginning of my working days in large, dark offices, public accounting, nothing outside, no trees, no chainsaws, no ropes, no nothing. Experience in tax planning, small business, associated strategies, etc. Until about 3.5 years ago, you and I had a conversation regarding one of my clients who was interested in starting a tree company. And that is really when I fell into the space, if you will. So since then, I've probably touched upon everything. They went from 0 to 4 crews in 3+ years. They recently sold the company. So in that time span, we touched everything, jumped right in, got my feet wet.
Awesome. So the company started really no prior experience with tree service or arbor care, anything like that, and just kind of formulated a good marketing strategy, a good business growth strategy, and really just kind of took it really fast. I mean, 3 years, that's impressive. A lot of people, I mean, it takes them 3, 5, 10 years to get to $1 million in revenue, right? And but if it goes to show that if you do a lot of marketing and the right types of marketing, you can create that brand awareness and grow pretty quickly. So what were some of the things you guys maybe started with and then kind of ramped up as you went?
Yeah, so I think that you were the first person that we started with. So this is my background. So I am an outsourced CFO for small businesses, putting together a model, making sure that everything works in their current state of business, defining where they want to go, figuring out the components, how to build it, how to engineer their business to where they want to get to. And the biggest piece of the engine of that is revenue. And the revenue is from marketing and advertising. And marketing and advertising comes down to, I have something, I got a buyer. How do we make that connection? So when I get a phone call from one of my clients who decides that he wants to get into the industry because he thinks it's a good industry, but knows nothing about the industry, and we put together a business plan, how we're going to get there, what it's going to look like, projection in Excel, the whole 9 yards, the first phone call we make is to Wes, right? How are we going to make the phones ring? And we definitely were naive in the beginning, right? It was a learning process, but working with you and understanding that ultimately the phones had to ring. We need the phones to ring. There's buyers, they want the service. We need to get it to ring. It's everything, right? So as we work together, it's a large, broad strategy for all marketing tactics. Make that brand known and keep that brand going. And that's really what drove the following 3.5 years, right? Everything that we had to do came under that umbrella. There's more revenue. Wes, please make the phone stop ringing, right? But the phones kept ringing and the sales kept going out, and then we just had to keep going. We had to keep growing.
Yeah, I think a couple of points there. You guys were starting from scratch. Like a lot of people have already got a business, right? It's been around 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, like we mentioned, and they're just missing that component of building the right foundation, I think, a lot of times in the digital marketing world. So think of your website being super professional, branded lettered trucks, a clear logo where it's kind of recognizable across everything, your Facebook page, your trucks, your signs, your business cards, your website, everything is kind of synced up where the brand awareness is accurate on every front. So you got the foundation built there, getting the Google reviews, your Google business profile set up, and getting a lot of reviews, because the further out you can get ahead of your competition on Google reviews helps everything else. I mean, it helps your SEO, awareness and showing up highly on Google search page. It helps your local service ads perform better, everything. So, and then also it helps people make that decision more often to call your tree company over the competition because you got more reviews, and that's very hard to fake. So that's kind of some of the things we put in place: the website, SEO, good branding, paid ads, local service ads, Google ads. There's other avenues too, Facebook ad retargeting, where you're just creating that brand awareness. You guys kind of went that direction. That started really ramping up over 6 months to a year. And then you kind of decided to do more and start doing more things outside of even digital. Can you talk about a little bit, what you guys were doing in those channels as
Yeah,
well?
absolutely, absolutely. So it just in terms of, the tactics, right? So there were lots of mailers, lots and lots and lots and lots of mailers, and we managed that ourselves. But as you mentioned, you got your truck wrapped and you have yard signs. And I was thinking to myself that we had a conversation internally. Well, let's put out yard signs. I was like, yard signs, like let's spend the money on something else, like t-shirts. Like let's just, like why do we got to spend money on branded t-shirts? But we went ahead and we did it. And as you mentioned, there's this brand. It's something emerges. There was we did all those things, right? So you said, what did we do? We did everything. There wasn't anything we didn't do. But the cool thing was, in year 3, when I'm looking at my data, every phone call we get, we ask them, how they heard about us, and we track all that information. And we started to see that there was a growing percentage of repeat customers. There was a brand that was built, and it was pretty cool to see. And really, I had this point of view. I had this like aha moment. You read all the time, you're investing in a brand, you're investing in your image, but I saw it, right? So, sometimes you get started on a new marketing company and you might feel like this, or you might feel like that, and the phone's not ringing and I'm not a millionaire yet, right? But you're investing in who you are, and everything fell right into place, like you said. So you have Google reviews, you're on local service ads, you're everywhere, your name is everywhere. At a certain point, they may not buy from you this year, but this person is going to own this house for 20 years, and they're going to have tree needs. And over the next couple of years, they're only going to think of your company. And that was just really neat to see. It actually happens. It's not a fluff. It's true.
Yeah, I think the old adage now, or the most recent saying is, a consumer buys after about the 13th to 15th
Oh
impression of a
God,
company
I
now.
thought it was like 6 or 7. It's getting harder.
Yeah, it used to be a lot lower, but I think with like the digital world and everything out there and all the shiny objects, it usually takes 13, 15, 20 impressions. So to your point,
Wow.
if you're doing all of these things, you can hammer out all those impressions within not that much
Yeah,
time, right?
that's interesting because
Yeah.
if you think about it, 3 years is not a long. It's really it's a very short amount of time. But like you're saying, if you're doing 13 things at the same time, then there's a good statistical chance that they're going to hit half of them this year and half of them next year. And we saw it happen, and it
Yeah,
was it's neat. But the
that's it.
six
Hmm.
we had I remember sometimes someone called and they're like, "Gosh, like stop sending me flyers already. Got your flyer like 6 times. Okay, I'm calling you. Let's do it."
Yeah, exactly. Like, I give up. We're going to go ahead and call. Hey, so we were talking about this before. You guys had some big numbers with direct mail, and I'd just like the audience to kind of hear this, because for some of our clients, we're doing direct mail, we're doing it consistently, and they get consistent results. And you guys were going even bigger. I mean, you guys were doing 5 to 10x what most people do on direct mail. And I think it's just important to kind of touch on that fact real quick. So you guys were doing thousands, tens of thousands of mailers per month, in addition to all the digital that you were kind of exhausting out as well. So
I mean, we were doing 5 to 10,000 flyers per day for a good chunk of the year, right?
yeah,
So, I mean, we went from doing maybe a couple thousand a day to 5,000 a day, and depending on the time of year when we needed the phones to, right, there was a plan to everything. So we
mhm,
engineered phone calls into our revenue projection because we knew how many we're going to close at what average price. So we had to handle the ebb and flow of the seasonality and make sure that the revenue was spread out over 12 months. So, I mean, it's just the consistency. And we would send anywhere from 2,500 to 10,000 a day to our given market that was already defined. And just as an aside, they're amazing, right? So you send out 5,000 flyers and you get a few dozen phone calls in that area,
mhm.
and you're selling in that area. And my salesperson can do, I don't know, an extra 10-20% sales because he's on the same street. And then those jobs close, and then I'm doing all that revenue on the same street. And a job that might have been a $400 job, but I wanted a $3,500 crane job, but a $400 job I can send the crew to even with the crane because it's down the street. So, but taking it back, yeah, absolutely. So the consistency, the mailers, the consistency, it really took, right? So if people like normally think of advertising as like, I got to do SEO, right? And not whatever the hell that means. I got to do SEO and I got to do this, I got to do that. So even just doing all of that bucket of stuff, and then adding a non-digital, the flyers, but just as consistent, right? Just as a consistent budget. The synergy of the 1+1 being 3 is just, the magnitude is amazing. The results are great.
Yeah, it's exponential impressions and awareness at that point. So the one really great thing about direct mail, that digital also gives you a presence in local markets. But if you think about it this way, a lot of people, and there's some direct mail going on. You got the what like the mailers that go out, the Val packs and the money mailers and things like that. But people have to dig through that to find the tree company. Whereas with if you do your own direct mail, it shows up and they have to see it no matter what when they open their mailbox, right? And so I think the power of that is when you send out that many thousands of direct mail pieces a month, you're really branding your company as the local tree company because you're going to get 10 appointments in a 1 to 2 neighborhood area, 20 appointments in a 1 to 2 neighborhood area. So they're going to see you. Then when you get the work going, your trucks are going to be parked there for a couple of days. So that's another viral, tidbit
Yeah,
of the direct
yeah,
mails. It blankets the entire neighborhood and the community. Then your trucks are there for a couple of days. Then you get a referral to another neighbor. Then another neighbor commits to a contract. And then you've got your trucks are there for 2 weeks doing work. You got signs you're putting out. So all these things just add up to just really, really branding and putting your company out there in front of the whole local community. And then if they go to the Google search, right, they're going to see your Google map listing. They're going to see your ads at the top. They just keep seeing you over and over. And that just really, really helps you and gives you the ability to grow a ton faster. You just got to have that mindset to keep putting and investing in that marketing and advertising. And what that'll also help you to do, and you guys were doing this, is build up your customer database. And now you've got
yeah.
this database of customers you can build a fence around, send emails to, text to, kind of like what you were doing.
It's, yeah. So it's perspective, right? There's a paradigm shift that needs to happen. I think that for many small business owners, there's an outlook of, I'm spending X, what am I getting out of it today or in the
This
near future?
month. Yeah, they were
Right,
so
exactly.
excited for this month. Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that at the end of the
Mhm.
day, right? There's nothing
Mhm.
wrong with that. But I don't know if I would call that business, so to speak, right? And it not meant to be offensive because anybody can do whatever they want. Everybody has their own vision and their own why. But if you think about, if you're going to go really broad and think about a business is a bunch of functioning systems put together to sell your product or service in a mechanical way, which includes your quality and your systems and your office and your people, etc. But it also includes people calling you and coming to you and finding you. So you have to think about marketing not as, what am I paying to make $1 tomorrow? It's what is my business spending its resources on to create better health for that business? I'm investing in a customer. And I may not make that money back today, but I might have this customer call me every 2 to 3 years for a prune, right? So there is a very big picture perspective you can take where you think about, instead of ROI, this might be a term that you're more familiar with, is ROAS, right? I think that's how it's pronounced. Like, so your total return on your marketing budget. So if I spend $5 on mailers and $5 on this and $5 on that, and I didn't make $30 next month, well, there you got to zoom out and you got to say, over X period of time, what was the differential? And if it's 12 months and I spent $50,000, where did that take me? Because just like you said, 13 touch points, right? You got to touch them everywhere to get them to call from Google and here and there. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a thing. I mean, it really is. And it adds up. And a lot of times people sit on those mailers for a month or two as well. So you get a trickle effect of like new ones coming in from the old mailers and then new ones coming in from the new mailers. So that it starts, this compounding momentum effect starts happening if you do it month in and month out. And it's a little similar too with digital, because the higher you start showing up on those search result pages for SEO, your Google Maps, Facebook, if you're doing retargeting there, people constantly log into Facebook and they're just doing some stuff on Facebook, boom, they see another ad about the tree company, that they've been on the website prior, then it just keeps reminding them to give them a call. So you guys were just killing it with that, the branding and going big. We were constantly upping the budgets and making sure you guys were continually doing more and more, expanding into more local markets nearby you guys. So that's kind of where you guys took it from zero to that many crews in just under 3.5 years. And it just goes to show that it's possible, right? You just have to have the right
Oh
mindset,
yeah.
push
Yeah.
forward hard. That's really just hard charge.
I mean, we were not in a huge city. I mean, we had terrible winters. If you invest in it, it works. It's not novel. It's not the stock market, right? It works.
Exactly. Well, good. This has been awesome talking about the marketing side and kind of growing everything and what you guys were doing. Because I think it's really important for other tree service businesses to kind of see the nuts and bolts of like how you go from zero to that in such a short amount of time. It's really about being aggressive and then also having the right strategy and the multi-pronged approach. Because if you think about it, everything we've talked about before we move on to the next point, you got your website, your Google Maps, your reviews, your Google ads, your local service ads, your direct mail, your signs, your wrapped trucks, right? Maybe leaving business cards behind. I mean, there's a lot of different things you're doing simultaneously that creates that buzz and that momentum. And if you keep doing it, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger pretty fast. And so that's what most people just have to realize and understand. You're investing in your business and your brand.
When your competitors start getting upset, then you know that it's working.
Right. People are like, hey, we're seeing you guys everywhere. This is not
Yeah, exactly.
outshining us all. So pivoting on to kind of what you're doing, I know that CPA has been something you've been doing for a while, and like you said, the CFO, like the remote CFO type services. What all are you doing today, and kind of is there anything you want to talk about for the tree service industry,
Sure.
what you may be able to do to help?
Absolutely. So right now I am on a mission. I'm on a mission to help tree companies replicate what I was able to do with the client that we've mentioned, right? So there's a lot of, it's almost like backwards, but then coming full circle, right? So we started on one extreme, and many of the people in the space are on the other extreme where they started bottom up. We were top down. Let's build this great vision and plan and like fill in the things to support it. And there were some things that were disasters along the way, operational disasters and learning experiences and having to learn about chainsaws and stuff that was just like foreign to us, right? But taking it bottom up, people there are in that space, they have a hunger to get to what we're talking about now. And I am on a mission to help them implement the top down that we worked on into their bottom up and sort of make it meet wherever they want. So it usually starts with a conversation of, what does a person want, right? Once they decide what they want, we just figure it out, right? Because everything at the end of the day is some form of spreadsheet or some solvable problem, and it's impossible to have everything worked out yourself and know it all. So what I like to call it is sort of like an outsourced partnership where I, so to speak, need you and you, so to speak, need me, and I can't do you and you can't do me. But what I bring to you is helping you put together systems, sales systems, operational systems, HR systems, financial systems, to have this vision shift and understanding where you step out from being the self-employed business owner, which is really just a oxymoron, you're your own employee, to working on the business, which is a fluffy term that people use now, but to really take a step back and disassociate, where there's a business and there's me. And the business has X, Y, and Z, and I may do things for that business still. But that business isn't me and I'm not that business, and there's a detachment and I can see it for what it needs, right? Like a child, if you will. I can see that this is what it needs and this is where it's going and this is what problem it has today. And we're going to be 6 months out and we don't have sales. So we need to start hitting the mailers today. And we need to grow because our phone calls are at a level that we can't handle. So what is it going to be like to add on a new chipper? And how's that going to affect our cash flow? But the winter is coming up. So to be able to put together a model and a roadmap to run your business the way you want it to be run, and then just push play and start adding on those pieces slowly to get to you where you want, right? So a tree guy shows up to a job, hey, a removal in the backyard. I want to put in a fence. But like the houses are too close together and you got a big crane and you're trying to figure out where you're going to park it and where you're going to take your pick from, and you're going to crack the driveway. And is the grass wet? Are there going to be rivets afterwards? Am I going to have to replant this? How many mats do I have? Who's coming? What crew? What other job can I schedule on the same day? So when you show up, all of that happens in your mind in a snap of a finger. You've scoped out the entire job. The rest is just the sales process, right? I know, what do they want? How do I sell it? How do I get the right price? But in terms of the systems to actually show up, get the tree down, they know it intimately, right? You know it intimately. So what I try to bring and what I bring is the ability to take that as a metaphor and as an example to business as well, right? So you start to see your business in a different dimension, and these things that we're talking about, right, between you and I, on sales and marketing, it's the same thing. The moment they start thinking about the revenue coming in and what's going to be, they just immediately start thinking about, okay, we need another mailer campaign, or we're going to have to start hiring, or it's time to slow down on hiring because the slow season is coming, or we're going to need new equipment or a budget for maintenance reserves, etc. So that is a synopsis of what I'm working on now, and something that's sort of just been fun for me. I was talking with somebody else in the space, and they were asking me, I don't even remember. It was like a certain type of knot. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know. I can't argue the differences in chainsaws, but I can help. If you have a chainsaw, I can help you use that chainsaw to chop down as much money as you can. So that's how I phrased it.
There you go. Well, a couple of important points there just to kind of back up. I know that being an entrepreneur, being a business owner, it feels like you're out on an island by yourself in the middle of the Pacific or Atlantic, whatever you want to call it. And so a lot of times you have questions and you just want reassurance and you want to know if this works, or should I hire this person, or should I not do this or not do that, or should I do this or do that? And so it's really helpful to have people you can kind of mastermind with, or speak to, or source, to be able to answer those questions and keep you moving forward and keep progress going. Because as you said, when you're running a business, a lot of times you're wearing so many hats that you don't look at the 100-foot aerial view of your company. You're stuck in the minutia of it. So it's really hard to see how you get yourself out of that. And so by having a third party as yourself come in as some sort of, coaching partner, financial partner, kind of help them kind of get through these steps to get to the next level, because you don't know what you don't know if you haven't been there before. I'm a part of masterminds for digital marketing, and I stay on the forefront of what's happening next, what's coming down the pike in a quarter, 2 quarters, a year, whatever. And these types of things, if I wasn't doing them, then you slowly kind of fall behind. So you have to make sure you stay kind of progressively in front of what's coming. And I think just partnering with somebody who has those skills, that have been there and already done that, and invested heavily into marketing, advertising, systems, tools, how to build the business, is going to be beneficial for you if you're kind of looking for that. And hey, you guys started from zero, right? No brand awareness. Some of these guys have been in business 5, 10, 15 years. So plug it into what you know and your brain power of how to grow it. They could even have
I
quicker results if they're aggressive with it.
I think that what you said, so you don't know what you don't know. One thing that I've been thinking about recently is, so we all don't know what we don't know, but I think that what happens is at a certain point, of all the hats that you get stuck wearing, sorry about that. Of all the hats that you start wearing as an entrepreneur, there are some that you inherently like, and there are some that you don't like. And I think this sneaks up on people. I think that the ones that you don't like, you ignore. And if you ignore them, they don't get the proper treatment. And that's where stagnation in a business sometimes often comes from. So to have the weakness that you're not even necessarily conscious of or want to talk about or even deal with is a lot of times what holds these people up, what holds these people up. So it's to not know what you don't know, but it's also to, I think, be conscious of what you are shying away from, not wanting to know, right? That ignorance is bliss type of thing, and finding that person you can partner with, because it unlocks a lot of exponential growth.
100%. Again, you don't know what you don't know. And so once you start speaking with somebody who's already been down that path before and done what you've done, it's going to open people's eyes to what they can do with their business if they want, right? It's not for everybody, but a lot of people do want to grow. And we hear those kind of conversations all the time. We're talking about a marketing plan or a program. It's like, we really want to grow the business, but sometimes the marketing may or may not be the fix. Maybe it is systems and personnel and just operations in general, right? So some of that stuff they're not going to know unless somebody reveals it to them where the holes and gaps are in their business. So this is great, man. So what would you like people to do? Like, so if you're looking to get help with your
Absolutely.
tree service business, yeah, tell them how they can,
Yeah,
what
so
plan you have.
I'll give you the link, but book a call, reach out from the website, find me on Facebook. I think I'm in your group. Reach out, happy to chat about anything, anytime, happy to help anyone think through what they're looking for. I think that's the good thing about the tree space, is that people just want to help, and I'm interested in helping. Working together is something, if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't work out, everybody needs to leave each other better off and share the information they have. So I can give you my calendar booking link and a link to my website. Anybody can reach out. My information, I mean, you'll post my information and we'll just take it from there.
Yeah, absolutely. We can put it on the YouTube video description and in the show notes of the podcast. And I think it's important, if you have any questions, reach out to Sam, because I can attest to, their success in the tree service business. I mean, it went really fast and really, really far quickly. And it was because they literally invested heavily in marketing and advertising for their company. And it was
It
amazing to
works.
watch. So yeah,
It
yeah. No, I
works.
mean, it was fun time. And so if you guys have any questions about what Sam can do and help you, as far as plug into your business, kind of help you consult with, where you want to go with your company. I think first, probably that's the most important conversation. Like, where do you want to go with your company? What do you want out of your company? Is it more free time, or is it just grow the revenues and
Yeah,
execute the road, or,
I was in a group today, one of the groups, and I asked a question like, what's your fantasy business? And somebody said, a couple crews. Somebody said 7 crews. Somebody said, just a stable long-term career. So that's your context. That's your transformation that you're looking for, that defines the tools you need.
yeah. And it's going to
Yeah,
be unique to every business owner. So that's
essentially.
the beauty of it. So, well, awesome, man. This has been a great conversation, Sam. Again, I'll put Sam's contact information in the YouTube video description, in the podcast show notes, and you guys just reach out. We'll put your if you want to share your calendar link, Sam, we'll put that in there as well as your website. I don't know if you want to put your email in there. It could get grabbed by spam bots or something. But
Yeah,
website and your calendar link's perfect. People can book at their own leisure at that point. And we should do a follow-up one too down the road and just see if anything's changed, or if you have some sort of like defined plan, or something like that. But I think it sounds like a win-win for everybody.
absolutely. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for jumping on. All right, guys, if you're watching the podcast, you got any questions, post it on the YouTube video comment or the podcast comment. We'll come back and chime in and answer your question. And make sure you listen in and tune in. We got plenty of episodes coming up shortly. We'll talk to you on the next one. Thanks so much.